Captain Jake Morrison looked out the main window of his ship's bridge. The stars looked peaceful today, just like they had for the past 3 months. His battleship, the UES Vengeance, was the biggest and strongest ship humanity had ever built. It carried weapons that could destroy entire cities and shields that could stop almost anything. Jake had been a soldier for 20 years. He started as a young man who wanted to see the galaxy. Now he was 42 years old and commanded the most important ship in Earth's fleet. His crew trusted him with their lives, and he never let them down. "Captain, we're getting strange readings from our long-range sensors," said Commander Beth Stone. She was Jake's second in command and had been his friend for 10 years. Beth was smart and brave, the kind of person you wanted beside you in a fight. Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of readings?" "Something big is coming out of hyperspace. Really big. Maybe 12 ships, all heading straight for Earth." Jake felt his heart beat faster. No one had ever seen alien ships near Earth before. Humans had traveled to other star systems and found empty planets, but never any sign of intelligent life. Now it looked like intelligent life had found them. "Red alert," Jake ordered. "All crew to battle stations. Send a message to Earth Command immediately." The bridge filled with red light as warning sounds echoed through the ship. All around the Vengeance, crew members ran to their positions. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Danny Walsh started bringing the ship's weapons online. In the medical bay, Dr. Elena Rodriguez prepared for possible casualties. "Captain, the ships are coming out of hyperspace now," said Lieutenant Commander Alex Carter from his science station. "My God, they're beautiful." Jake looked at the main screen and gasped. 12 ships appeared in space near Earth, but they didn't look like any human design. These ships were made of what looked like crystal, shining with their own light. They were huge, each one twice the size of the Vengeance. The light coming from them was so bright it hurt to look at directly. "I've never seen anything like this," Beth whispered. "The energy readings are off the charts." "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Lisa Hamilton from Earth Command." The Admiral's voice came through the ship's communication system. She sounded worried. "We're seeing the same thing you are. 12 unknown vessels in Earth orbit were trying to make contact." Jake had known Admiral Hamilton for years. She was the person in charge of Earth's entire space fleet. If she was worried, then everyone should be worried. "Admiral, this is Captain Morrison. The Vengeance is ready for orders. What do you want us to do?" "Hold your position for now, Captain. We're receiving a transmission from the lead alien vessel. I'm putting it through to your ship." The main screen changed. Instead of showing the crystal ships, it now showed the inside of one of them. Jake and his crew saw tall beings that looked almost human but different. They were beautiful in a way that seemed unnatural. Their skin glowed with soft light, and they wore robes that seemed to change colors as they moved. The leader of these beings stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice sounded like music, but there was something cold about it. "People of the third planet from your star," the being said, "I am High Celestial Zarian of the Divine Collective. We are the true gods of this galaxy. We have ruled over 17 star systems and billions of creatures for thousands of years." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. These aliens were calling themselves gods. They were talking to humans like they were children who needed to be taught a lesson. "Your species has learned to travel between stars," Zarian continued. "This means you are ready to learn about your place in the universe. You must bow down and worship us as your gods. You must give us control of your world and your people." Beth looked at Jake with shock in her eyes. "They want us to surrender without even fighting." "We know this may be difficult for you to understand," Zarian said. "Many species resist at first. But resistance is not only impossible, it is a sin against the divine order. We have power beyond your understanding. We can destroy planets with a thought. We can create life or take it away as we choose." Jake clenched his fists. He had spent his whole life protecting human freedom. He had fought pirates and rebels who wanted to hurt innocent people. Now these aliens expected humanity to just give up everything they had worked for. "You have 72 hours to make your decision," Zarian announced. "Surrender to our divine rule, or face complete destruction. We have destroyed civilizations. Before. Do not think your small planet is special enough to survive our anger. The transmission ended. The main screen went back to showing the 12 crystal ships floating in space around Earth. They looked beautiful, but now Jake knew they were weapons pointed at his home. Orders, Captain? Beth asked. Jake thought for a moment. These aliens claimed to be gods, but Jake didn't believe them. Real gods wouldn't need to threaten people. Real gods wouldn't demand worship through fear. These were just bullies with fancy ships. Contact Earth Command, Jake said. Tell Admiral Hamilton that I want permission to take the Vengeance on a special mission. If these aliens really control 17 star systems, I want to see their empire for myself. Maybe we can find out how powerful they really are. That could be extremely dangerous, Alex warned from his station. Jake smiled for the first time since the aliens arrived. Danny, Alex, Beth, we've been together for years. Have I ever asked you to do something we couldn't handle? No, sir, they all said together. Then trust me now. These aliens might have pretty ships and fancy voices, but they made one big mistake. They threatened Earth. They threatened our families, our friends, everyone we've ever cared about. I don't care if they call themselves gods. We're going to find out what they're really made of. All around the bridge, Jake's crew nodded their agreement. They were scared, but they were also angry, and angry humans were dangerous humans. The war for humanity's freedom was about to begin. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Jake Morrison and his crew left Earth. The UES Vengeance traveled through hyperspace toward the Zephyr system, home of the aliens who called themselves gods. Jake stood on the bridge, watching the stars blur past the ship's windows. Captain, we're about to arrive at the Zephyr system, said Commander Beth Stone. All systems are ready. We're running silent, so their sensors shouldn't detect us right away. Jake nodded. Good work. Alex, I want you to start scanning everything as soon as we drop out of hyperspace. I want to know what we're dealing with. Lieutenant Commander Alex. Carter checked his instruments. Sensors are ready, sir. If there's anything unusual about their technology, we'll find it. The Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyr system. Jake and his crew looked at the main screen and saw something amazing. The system had 7 planets, and all of them were covered with cities that glowed with the same light as the alien ships. Everything looked perfect and beautiful. Scanning now, Alex reported. I'm reading massive energy signatures from all 7 planets. And Captain, there are hundreds of ships in this system, way more than the 12 we saw at Earth. Beth frowned. If they have that many ships, why did they only send 12 to Earth? Maybe they didn't think they needed more, Jake said. Or maybe they wanted to seem less threatening at first. Danny Walsh's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. Captain, I'm picking up some strange readings down here. These aliens are using a lot more power than any normal civilization should need. Jake was about to respond when Alex made an excited sound. Captain, you need to see this. I'm detecting massive holographic projectors throughout the entire system. These things are huge, bigger than our whole ship. Holographic projectors? Beth asked. What would they need those for? Alex worked at his station, his fingers flying over the controls. I'm trying to filter out the holographic interference. If I can see past their projections, maybe we can see what's really here. The main screen flickered and changed. Suddenly, the beautiful glowing cities looked very different. Instead of perfect structures filled with light, Jake and his crew saw massive industrial complexes. Huge factories covered the planets, pouring smoke and waste into the air. My God, Beth whispered. The beautiful cities were fake. They're all just holograms. But that wasn't the worst part. As Alex adjusted the sensors more, they could see billions of creatures working in the factories. These weren't the tall, glowing beings like Zerion. These were different species, all of them looking tired and thin. They worked day and night building machines and ships. Those are slaves, Jake said, his voice full of anger. All those different species are slaves working for the so-called gods. Dr. Elena Rodriguez came onto the bridge. She had been studying the recordings of Zerion and his people. Captain, I've been analyzing the alien transmission. There's something you need to know about their technology. What did you find? Their ships, their glowing appearance, even their voices, it's all enhanced by machines. They're not actually gods at all. They're using advanced technology to make themselves seem divine. Alex continued his scans. Dr. Rodriguez is right. I'm detecting artificial enhancement systems throughout their ships. Their whole appearance is created by technology. Jake felt pieces of a puzzle coming together in his mind. So they use holograms to make their empire look beautiful, and they use technology to make themselves look like gods. What else are they hiding? Danny's voice came through the comm again, sounding excited. Captain, I found something big. Their entire fleet, all their cities, everything in this system is powered by one massive reactor on the main planet. It's like nothing I've ever seen. One reactor powers everything? Beth asked. That's right. If something happened to that reactor, their whole technological advantage would disappear. Jake smiled grimly. That's their weakness. They've built their entire empire on one power source. If we could disable it somehow. Captain, we're being scanned, Alex reported suddenly. 3 ships are heading our way. They must have detected us. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Beth, plot a course out of the system. We got what we came for. The Vengeance turned and started moving away from the Zephyr system, but the 3 alien ships were fast. They were smaller than the crystal ships that had appeared at Earth, but they moved quickly through space. They're firing, Beth reported. Energy beams shot past the Vengeance. The alien weapons were powerful, but not as strong as Jake had expected. Danny pushed the engines harder, and the human ship began to pull away from its pursuers. Return fire, Jake ordered. Let's see how tough these gods really are. The Vengeance's weapons hit one of the alien ships. To everyone's surprise, the ship's shields failed quickly. The beautiful crystal hull cracked, and the ship began to lose power. Their technology is advanced, but it's not invincible, Beth said with excitement. They've been ruling through fear and deception for so long they've forgotten how to really fight, Jake realized. All those enslaved species probably gave up without fighting because they believed the aliens were actually gods. Dire Vengeance escaped from the Zephyr system, but Jake's mind was already working on a plan. He had seen the truth behind the Divine Collective's lies. They weren't gods. They were bullies who used tricks and technology to control others. But more importantly, he had found their weakness. One reactor powered their entire empire. If that reactor could be destroyed, all their technological advantages would disappear. The holograms would fail, their enhanced appearance would fade, and all those enslaved species would see the truth. Set course for Earth, Jake ordered. We have a war to plan. As the Vengeance traveled back toward Earth, Jake thought about what he had learned. The aliens had made a mistake when they threatened humanity. They thought Earth would surrender, like all the other species had. But humans were different. Humans didn't bow down to bullies, even bullies who claimed to be gods. The Divine Collective was about to learn what happened when you picked a fight with the human race. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the briefing room aboard the UES Vengeance. Around the table sat his senior officers and Admiral Lisa Hamilton, who had come aboard the ship while it was docked at Earth's main space station. The 72-hour deadline had passed 2 days ago, and the alien response had been terrible. Show them the footage, Admiral Hamilton said quietly. The main screen lit up with images from Mars. The red planet had been home to 5 million colonists working to make the planet suitable for human life. The terraforming colonies had been humanity's greatest achievement, turning a dead world into a place where families could live and grow. Now Mars was a burning wasteland. High Celestial Xerion had destroyed every colony on the planet in less than an hour. 5 million people had died to prove that the Divine Collective meant what they said. The bastards didn't even give us a chance to respond, said Commander Beth Stone, her voice shaking with anger. They just started killing innocent people. Jake felt sick as he watched the recordings. Children had been playing in the colony gardens just hours before the attack. Families had been eating dinner together. Scientists had been working to create a better future for humanity. Now they were all gone. This changes everything, Admiral Hamilton said. The President has authorized me to approve any military action against these aliens. We're calling it Operation Godslayer. Lieutenant Commander, Alex Carter looked up from his tablet. Admiral, based on what we learned in the Zephyr system, I think we can actually hurt them. Their whole empire depends on that central power reactor. Explain. Jake leaned forward. We discovered that everything they do, all their technology, runs off one massive power source on their home planet. If we can destroy that reactor, their holograms will fail, and all those enslaved species will see the truth. And you think that will cause a rebellion? Dr. Elena Rodriguez nodded. From what we observed, there are billions of enslaved beings in their empire, multiple species all forced to work in terrible conditions. If they realized their gods were just bullies with fancy technology, they would fight back. Admiral Hamilton was quiet for a long moment. What you're suggesting is incredibly dangerous. You're talking about flying one ship into the heart of their empire, past hundreds of enemy vessels to attack their most important facility. Yes, ma'am, Jake said simply. That's exactly what I'm suggesting. The chances of survival are almost zero. Maybe. But if we do nothing, they'll just keep killing humans until we surrender. After what they did to Mars, I don't think surrender is an option anymore. Chief Engineer Danny Walsh spoke up from his position at the far end of the table. Captain, I've been working on modifications to our ship. If we're really going to do this, I want us to have the best chance possible. What kind of modifications? I can boost our shield generators and weapon systems, but it will mean using almost all our power reserves. We'd have one shot at the reactor, and then we'd be defenseless. Beth studied the tactical data on her tablet. We'd need to time it perfectly. Get in during one of their religious ceremonies when most of their fleet is gathered around the home planet. Use the crowd of ships as cover, and we'd need to make sure the truth gets broadcast to every world in their empire at the same time, Alex added. Otherwise, some planets might not believe it. Jake looked around the table at his crew. These people had followed him for years. They trusted his judgment even when he asked them to do dangerous things. But this mission was different. This might be the last mission any of them ever flew. I need to be clear about something, Jake said. I'm not ordering anyone to come on this mission. It's volunteer only. Anyone who wants to stay behind can do so with no shame. You all have families, people who care about you. Lieutenant Sarah Brooks, the ship's tactical officer, spoke up. With respect, Captain, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said. After what those monsters did to Mars, every person on this ship wants to make them pay. Major Chris Anderson, who commanded the ship's Marine unit, nodded. Sir, my people are ready to fight. We've been training for ground combat, but if you need us to plant explosives on that reactor, we'll get it done. One by one, every officer in the room volunteered for the mission. Jake felt proud of his crew, but also worried. He was asking them to risk everything on a plan that might not work. Admiral Hamilton stood up. Captain Morrison, I'm giving you complete authority for this operation. Whatever you need, whatever resources you want, they're yours. The entire human race is counting on you. After the Admiral left, Jake remained in the briefing room with his core team. They spent the next 6 hours planning every detail of the mission. When they would attack, how they would get past the alien defenses, where they would strike the reactor, and how they would escape if things went wrong. There's one more thing, Dr. Rodriguez said as the meeting was ending. I've been studying the aliens' biology from the recordings. They've been genetically modified to live longer and appear more impressive, but the modifications have made them dependent on their technology. Without their machines, they're actually quite fragile. So if we destroy their power source, we don't just take away their weapons, Beth realized. We might actually kill them. Jake thought about the 5 million people who had died on Mars. Men, women, and children who had never hurt anyone. People who just wanted to build a better life for themselves and their families. Good, he said coldly. After what they did, I don't feel sorry for them. The next morning, the UES Vengeance left Earth's orbit for the last time. Jake stood on the bridge, watching his home planet grow smaller behind them. He didn't know if he would ever see Earth again, but he knew why he was fighting. Humanity would not bow down to false gods. Not today, not ever. The UES Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyr system for the second time. Captain Jake Morrison looked at the main screen and saw exactly what he had hoped for. Hundreds of alien ships surrounded the main planet in perfect formation. Their crystal hulls glowed brightly against the darkness of space. "They're having some kind of ceremony," reported Lieutenant Commander Alex Carter. "Energy readings suggest all their ships are focusing power on the planet's surface." "Commander," Beth Stone studied her tactical display. "This is perfect timing. With all their ships in formation like this, they won't expect an attack from outside the system." Jake nodded. "Danny, are our stealth systems ready?" Chief Engineer Danny Walsh's voice came through the comm from engineering. "All systems are running at peak efficiency, Captain. We can stay hidden for about 30 minutes before they detect us." "That should be enough time. Alex, can you locate the central reactor?" "Already found it, sir. It's a massive structure at the center of their main city. The power readings are incredible. This thing could power 100 Earth cities." Lieutenant Sarah Brooks worked at the weapons station. "I've programmed our missiles with the reactor's exact location. When we get close enough, I can target it." "Precisely." Jake took a deep breath. "All right, everyone, this is it. We're going to fly straight through their fleet, hit the reactor, and broadcast the truth to every enslaved world in their empire. Beth, take us in." The Vengeance moved silently through space, using its stealth technology to avoid detection. The ship passed between the massive alien vessels, so close that Jake could see the details of their crystal construction. Each ship was beautiful, but now he knew the beauty was just another lie. "Captain, I'm picking up the ceremony on their communication channels," Alex reported. "High Celestial Zarion is giving some kind of speech to the enslaved populations. Put it on screen." The main display showed Zarion standing on a huge platform surrounded by thousands of the glowing aliens. Below the platform, millions of enslaved beings from dozens of different species knelt in worship. The scene was broadcast to every world in the Empire. "My faithful servants," Zarion was saying, "today we celebrate another victory for the Divine Order. The humans of the third planet have been punished for their defiance. Their Mars colony has been cleansed, as all resistance must be cleansed." Jake felt his anger building as he watched the false god boast about murdering innocent people. Around the platform, the enslaved beings listened with fear in their eyes. They believed they were watching real gods, not knowing they were seeing nothing but advanced technology and lies. "We're almost in position," Beth announced. 60 seconds to weapons range. "Dr. Rodriguez, is the broadcast ready?" Jake asked. Dr. Elena Rodriguez nodded from her station. "As soon as we hit the reactor, the message will go out to every world. In their empire, they'll see everything we recorded about the fake cities and the holographic projectors. Major Anderson, are your people ready?" Major Chris Anderson's voice came through the comm from the assault bay. "Marines are standing by, Captain. If we need to board their ships or fight ground forces, we're ready." 30 seconds to weapons range, Beth announced. Jake stood up from his captain's chair. "This is for everyone who died on Mars. This is for every enslaved being in this empire. Today we show the galaxy that humanity doesn't bow to false gods." 10 seconds. "Sarah, fire everything we have." The Vengeance dropped its stealth systems and unleashed its full arsenal. Missiles streaked toward the planet's surface while energy beams cut through the alien fleet. The surprise was complete. The alien ships focused on their ceremony had no time to raise their defenses. The first missile hit the central reactor. The explosion was visible from space, a brilliant flash of light that lit up the entire planet. The second and third missiles followed, tearing huge holes in the structure. "Direct hits," Sarah reported. "The reactor is going critical." On the planet's surface, the massive reactor began to collapse. Power failures cascaded through the Zephyr system. The holographic projectors that had hidden the ugly truth for centuries began to shut down. The beautiful cities flickered and disappeared, revealing the industrial wastelands beneath. On worlds throughout the Empire, enslaved beings watched in amazement as their beautiful cities became smoking factories. The technology that made their gods appear divine began to fail. Zarion's glowing robes faded to reveal simple cloth. His voice lost its musical quality and became ordinary. "Impossible!" Zarion screamed as his power failed around him. "We are gods! We are eternal!" But the enslaved beings could see the truth now. On world after world, Billions of creatures realized they had been lied to for generations. Their gods were just advanced beings with better technology. The divine miracles were nothing but tricks. The rebellion began immediately. On the closest planet, a group of enslaved beings stormed the alien overseer's compound. On another world, workers in the factories stopped their labor and demanded answers. Across the Empire, the truth spread like fire. "Captain, the alien fleet is responding," Beth warned. "They're breaking formation and heading for us." Jake looked at the tactical display. Dozens of alien ships were turning toward the Vengeance, their weapons charging. Without the central reactor, they were running on backup power, but they still had enough energy to fight. "All weapons, fire at will," Jake ordered. "Show them what happens when you mess with humanity." The battle that followed would be remembered throughout the galaxy. The Vengeance fought against impossible odds, but the human crew fought with the fury of free beings defending their liberty. They had destroyed the foundation of the alien empire, and now they had to survive long enough to see the results. Energy. Beams filled space around the Vengeance. The ship's shields flared as alien weapons struck again and again. But for every hit the humans took, they gave back too. Danny kept the engines running at maximum power while Sarah's weapons found their targets with deadly accuracy. The tide of battle was turning, and Jake could see victory within their grasp. The space battle around the Zephyr system had been raging for 2 hours. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the UES Vengeance as explosions lit up the darkness. Dozens of alien ships surrounded his vessel. But something amazing was happening. Ships from other species were joining the fight against the Zephyrians. "Captain, I'm reading new contacts," reported Lieutenant Commander Alex Carter. "Ships from at least 6 different species are attacking the alien fleet." "The rebellion is spreading." Commander Beth Stone smiled as she maneuvered the Vengeance between 2 enemy cruisers. "Look at that. A Korthak battle group just destroyed 3 Zephyrian ships. I guess they don't like being enslaved." On the main screen, Jake could see the chaos spreading throughout the star system. The beautiful crystal ships of the Divine Collective were being overwhelmed by angry fleets from worlds they had controlled for centuries. Without their central power source, the Zephyrians were fighting with backup systems that made them vulnerable. "Sir, High Celestial Zirian's flagship is moving toward us," announced Lieutenant Sarah Brooks from the weapons station. "He's broadcasting on all frequencies." "Put him on screen." Zirian appeared on the display, but he looked very different now. Without the technological enhancements, he was just a tall, thin alien with pale skin and frightened eyes. His beautiful robes had become simple gray cloth. His musical voice was now harsh and desperate. "Humans," Zirian screamed. "You have doomed this entire galaxy. Without our guidance, these primitive species will destroy themselves. We brought order to chaos. We brought peace to warring worlds." Jake stood up from his captain's chair. "You brought slavery and death. You killed 5 million innocent people on Mars just to prove a point. Real gods don't rule through fear." "We are gods," Zirian insisted, but his voice cracked with doubt. "We have ruled for 1,000 years. We created this empire." "You created nothing but lies," Jake replied. "Your empire was built on stolen labor and fake miracles. Now everyone can see what you really are." Dr. Elena Rodriguez looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm monitoring communications from across their empire. The rebellions are succeeding on dozens of worlds. The Zephyrians are losing control everywhere." Zirian's flagship fired its main weapons at the Vengeance. The energy beams were powerful, but not as strong as they had been before. Chief Engineer Danny Walsh had reinforced the human ship's shields, and they held against the attack. "Return fire," Jake ordered. "End this." The Vengeance's weapons struck Zirian's ship with devastating force. The crystal hull, no longer enhanced by the central reactor's power, cracked and shattered. Atmosphere vented into space as the alien flagship began to die. "You cannot destroy gods." Zirian's voice came through the static of his failing communication system. "We are eternal. We are divine." "No," Jake said quietly. "You're just bullies who forgot that every bully eventually meets someone stronger." Zirian's ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The leader of the Divine Collective, the being who had claimed to be a god, died like any other mortal. Around the battlefield, The remaining Zephyrian ships began to surrender or flee as their cause became hopeless. Major Chris Anderson's voice came through the comm from the Marine Bay. "Captain, we're receiving surrender requests from 12 enemy ships. What are your orders?" "Accept their surrenders. We're not like them. We don't kill beings who give up fighting." Over the next few hours, the battle ended completely. The Zephyrian fleet was destroyed or captured. More importantly, reports were coming in from across the galaxy. On world after world, the enslaved species had risen up against their oppressors. The Divine Collective's empire was collapsing. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth," Beth announced. "Admiral Hamilton wants to speak with you." Admiral Lisa Hamilton appeared on the screen and she was smiling. "Captain Morrison, I'm proud to report that the Zephyrian ships around Earth have surrendered. When their power failed and the truth was broadcast, they gave up without a fight." Jake felt relief wash over him. "What about the other human colonies?" "All safe. The aliens never got a chance to attack them. Your mission worked perfectly." Dr. Rodriguez had been monitoring alien communications. "Admiral, we're getting reports from liberated worlds. They want to form some kind of alliance. They're calling it the Galactic Liberation Alliance, and they want humanity to help lead it." "Lead it?" Jake asked, surprised. "You showed them that." "The gods could be defeated," Admiral Hamilton explained. "Every species in this galaxy knows that humans were the ones who broke the Empire and set them free. They respect that." 6 months later, Jake stood on the bridge of the rebuilt Vengeance. The ship had been repaired and upgraded with technology from grateful alien species. It now served as the flagship of the Galactic Liberation Alliance fleet, patrolling former Zephyrian territory to keep the peace. "Captain, we're approaching the Helios system," Beth reported. "The local government requested our help with some pirates who are causing trouble." Jake nodded. "Take us in. Let's remind these pirates that freedom isn't free and someone has to protect it." The crew of the Vengeance had become legends throughout the galaxy. They were the humans who had dared to fight gods and won. But Jake knew the real victory wasn't the battle they had fought. It was the billions of beings who were now free to live their own lives, make their own choices, and build their own futures. The false gods were gone forever. In their place was something better, a galaxy where freedom mattered more than power, where truth was more important than beautiful lies, and where no one had to bow down to anyone who claimed to be divine. The Zephyrians had made one fatal mistake. When they threatened Earth, they had picked a fight with a species that valued freedom above everything else. And when humans fought for freedom, they didn't just fight for themselves, they fought for everyone. The galaxy would never forget the lesson humanity had taught. Real gods don't demand worship through fear. Real gods inspire others to become gods themselves.